I'm Hugh, and I'm a musician. And
I'm Phil, and I'm the crab man. That's because I don't like walking from A to B. I like to scuttle off sideways down back alleys and side streets.
And I'm Uncle Taco, and I'm a performer generally at the seaside. Thank you. These are our coats, and they were made for us for our special journey. And they were made out of raincoats and old curtains from the charity shop. And they were made to look like the landscape. So that is like a map, like an ordnance survey map. And these bits are meant to look like hills and rocks. But unfortunately, as we've walked over the hills and rocks, look what's happened with these things attached. It's all breaking off. But we think that's like the rocks eroding around us.
we wonder whether perhaps the worm has gone through this person here.
Yes. Obviously likes the heart area.
It's the world's biggest worm, wasn't it? Kevin Page's suggestion that we had 3-metre long worms in these rocks.
I know it seems like a car park, but I wanted you to see that the closest we felt we could get to what this whole area might have originally looked like, all of this would have been a salt marsh. That there isn't any evidence of dinosaurs that's yet been found around here. It's further along the coast up by the Jurassic, despite Torquay's dinosaur world. However, I have to warn you that this is a dangerous place. Just be careful, he might move. Yes?
I've always been interested in geology, always, since I was tiny.
Is there anywhere in this area that particularly excites you as a kind of geological site?
I think it's just little things like the red sandstones down along the seawall, sort of like knowing that that's desert deposits from when the UK was positioned on the equator, and it's just really weird to think we were positioned so far away from where we are now. And there's loads of areas around here where there's been no deposition, no erosion, and it's just like nobody knows what happened. And there's in some areas there's millions of years of time that have just completely disappeared. We definitely need to get Tour Bay geology out there because it's very important.
Please put on your rose-tinted spectacles. This view, or something like it, is very, very familiar to me. I would have been chugging out where that little boat is now with my pop, my grandfather, for a day of mackerel fishing. I can even remember the rust-coloured jumper that I was wearing. We used to tell my sister, who was not taken on this holiday, that I had gone off training with the Territorial Army. And I did once attempt to walk up and down this bit of the coast, re-finding my memories. And the reality was that I could find absolutely nothing at all. What I had were memories that I constructed, or they were atmospheres, but the actual places, returning to those actual places, didn't bring back anything at all. It's very easy to look at that as a single piece of stone. There seems to be some coherence of colour, some coherence of contour. That piece of stone is full of all sorts of different violences, different age periods, different overlayings. It's been bent, and that's my kind of feeling about nostalgia in the end, is that one can construct something very coherent until one actually goes and looks at the thing itself. And then one finds that really there are great holes, there are great wrenches, there are great faults. And so when I look at that bit of that bit of sandstone, I kind of look at my own memory.
These fragments shored against my ruin, which for me is life is built up of a whole range of different memories, views, perceptions, fears, concerns, little things that come together that help me hold myself to myself, that enable me to be who I am and to have my own identity. Here we're trying to control identity through very physical, concrete, literally forms. Wouldn't it be nice, while we're looking at these rocks and these things that are all around us, to make our own fragments to shore against our ruins? Just some phrase that you have.
Ships are safe in harbour. Ships were not built to be in harbour.
Don't think it will happen.
What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
All flesh is grass.
Blessing with no disguise.
Never give in.
Will your anchor hold in the storms of life?
A journey, a circuit around the bay, a rock walk discovery of 7 days, starting at the Valley of Rose and on into Torquay, Drayton by the coast and then Brixham, and back across the sea, and back across the sea, and back across the round.
Tell you what, mate, come here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my medal. Oh, brilliant. I'm glad I met you.
This area in Torbay, the Geo Park, is so important that it's one of only 47 in the whole world. That's amazing, isn't it? But what we want to do is find out about the rocks and the stones and the sand and the landscape that you love.
Berryhead, a good place to go. And when you went to Berryhead, what did you like about being up there?
Well, nice view all around. So much to remember in there.
When you were younger, did you go swimming?
Yes, yeah.
I still go swimming as much as I can.
When we first came here, this pool was empty. And all through the winter, the waves have been beating on the side of the pool. There was no water in it. And because of that, it didn't have the force. It didn't have the force to repel those waves. And all that wall on that side was all cracked. He's going to subject that tune to the rhythm of the waves that beat against that pool and send their shockwaves through the water. We're going to walk around to the other side and see how that might have affected our theme tune.
The Reverend Light wrote Abide With Me just before he died, only about 2 weeks before he died of TB. And at that time in the 1870s was the real kind of a fervent religious, anti-religious, evolutionary thing that was going on. Change and decay and all around I see, O thou who changest not. We need this thing to hang on to. There's something that never ever changes, God that never changes. And what I want to do now is I want to reenact the very last breath of Reverend Light.
My parents used to bring me here when I was a kid. It hasn't changed a bit. I've forgotten how much I loved Devon. Rolling red hills, clotted cream teas, family holidays on the beaches. It hasn't changed. I just hope it doesn't get spoiled by that filthy black tide that's coming our way. You know, that Mexican oil Gulf explosion. There ought to be some way of stopping these foreign pollutants. Not that I'm a racist or anything like that, of course, no, but if you don't do something to stop things changing, then they become different. And what's the point of being anything at all if you can't resist change? This place hasn't changed, has it? Those red cliffs, they haven't changed, apart from where they've eroded to make the beach. and that headland over there, that hasn't changed, has it, that limestone headland? Apart from where they've quarried it to make the guest houses we all stay. But you get me drift. But anyway, what the doctor doesn't see, the wife doesn't grieve. It's only a few blemishes after all.
Three different kinds of rock, igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. If you use because you can go wrong, this is the basic rock song. Three different kinds of rock, igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. If you use because you can go wrong, this is the basic rock song. This is a basic rock song.
Hey, I think I pulled.
370 million years ago, the sea creatures died, and their bones and shells sank to the bottom of the sea. Piles and piles, years and years. Gradually, they turned to stone, bones into limestone. And then, as the earth buckled and shifted, they were lifted up high to make mountains and cliffs. And with the guillemots and the kittiwakes, we live with them here. Bones of the
Man has occupied the top of Bury Head since Neolithic man. We have Neolithic flints here, and we have found all kinds of other bits and pieces.
bones of the time of Bony Bonaparte.
If you wanted to run a geography lesson here with a school, it's great. You've got natural arches, you've got caves, you've got stacks, which are the actual islands. But on the ecology side of things, there are over 1,000 birds on that particular cliff. These little birds, guillemots, would you believe it, and dive underwater and swim underwater down to 200 feet, 60 odd metres. The top half of the cliff is very much more sheerer, therefore you've got flat faces. Further down, the geology is in faulting and steppings, and that's exactly where those particular birds actually breed. So they actually have this one egg on these little ledges. So the Bury Head colony is crucially important because, would you believe, it's the southernmost extreme of these particular birds for breeding. You talk about global warming, it will actually flag up very quickly here.
Bones and shells of guillemots, bones of a vicar.
If we didn't have the geology, we wouldn't have the birds.
Bones in the Cold War bunker, bones that abide with me.
We hollow the mountains and we cap the mines. We manage the rivers and we expand the cities. We melt the ice caps and we prepare for a sixth mass extinction. We move minerals around our trade routes and fill our missiles with depleted uranium. Like subduction and erosion, we are now a geological force.
What are you called?
The Geo Trio.
The Geo Trio?
Yeah.
So if anybody would like to go and join in and sing with them and dance with them and do whatever you like with them, then please feel free.
Can you dance? 3. Can you change the other one? Igneous, like a volcano, shooting around her.
Sedimentary.
Like that.
And metamorphic.
Three different kinds of rock, igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. If you use the chords you can't go wrong, this is a basic rock song.
grasses all around there. And then I think it's well, it's Tor Sands. I'm not sure whether it goes as far as Roundham Head, but certainly there is.
So this is from Maureen, and she told me she was 82. This place all confuses me. Touch wood, not to speak too soon. I want to go back home. Berry Head, I loved it. I worked in Germany, touch wood. I used to own a Great Dane. I loved anything on 4 legs. I can't make head nor tail of it. I couldn't swim, my brothers took the mickey. Tennis was okay, I'm not bragging. It's very confusing. I'm more of a crossword fiend. I'm great with the Guardian, but they don't do it here. I was the national supervisor in Manchester at the National Coal Board. I never went down a mine, I don't like the dirt. Not in the caves, it's too creepy crawly. This place all confuses me, touch wood.
What you're basically looking at there is a flash flood, a massive flash flood that swept down from the mountains onto the desert, and that's what's left of it. So the limestone is made by the animals dying and accumulating at the bottom of the ocean. The sandstone is made because the little granules accumulate in great deserts. And it's because of that accumulation, or what they call sedimentation, they call it a sedimentary rock. The granites that were formed in Dartmoor were formed in immense heat. They were molten rocks. They've cooled, and the layers above them have been eroded away, and that granite has been exposed. Occasionally, these sorts of rocks also get thrown out by explosions. Because they've been, if you like, formed with fire, you use the word that's very like fire, which is ignite. So it's an igneous rock. Well, we picked that up in a hill just behind Key West. Could you grind your hands? Can you feel your hands?
Rub them a bit faster and harder.
Getting hot. Although it's being pushed and crushed, it's also grinding, and it becomes, when it's continents pushing rather than just your hands, it gets very, very hot indeed. And what happens is that this sort of material, sort of granular, turns into something hard and shiny and smooth like that. We call that a changed rock, or, and they use the Latin word, a metamorphosed rock, and the title they give it is metamorphic.
That has been changed.
Tony's going to lead us in a free dance interpretation of the movement of the supercontinent Gondwana and the mini supercontinent Laurasia.
When I saw you all first assemble, I thought, here, it's a bit like Torbay's answer to Pan's people. So we're all going to dance. It's going to be a simple dance. I want 2 groups holding hands in 2 circles. 1 circle this side and 1 circle this side. Thank you. That's it. In time to the music, just cycle round in a direction. I don't mind which. Go round, there you go. Perfect. Now, shortly, the music is going to change.